Hello students, my name is Vandana Shah and today we are going to learn a very interesting topic, that is techniques of separation of mixture. We see mixture all around us, like the salt water we drink in, the air we breathe in, the food we eat. So how can we define a mixture? Mixture can be defined as a substance that is made by mixing two or more substances together. Now, we can separate mixture into three types based on the components they are mixed together with. First of all is solid-solid mixture. So, in our childhood, we all saw gems in a packet. So, they are different types of chocolate mixtures. Next is a solid liquid mixture. We saw the example of salt in water. So, it is a solid mixture. Next is a liquid mixture. So when we mix oil in water, we get a liquid mixture. Now let's start by learning how to separate a solid mixture. So you all have experienced 14th January. Okay, we celebrate a harvest festival all around India in different forms and names like the Pongal, Makar Sankranti, and Lori, and many others. So, what do you think the farmers do after the harvest of is over? Do you think they just mm, pick up the chaff of and the full harvest and go to the mandi and sell it? No. What they do is separate the grains from the chaff and then sell it. So how are they going to separate the chaff? Let's see. They do it by a process called threshing. This method is mostly done during the harvesting of crops. Normally, the stacks of the wheat are dried once in it harvested. The grain is then separated from the stalks and grounded into the flour by beating the dry stalks to shake off the dried grain. But think, while they separate out the grains, some of the chaff will also be going to be separated, okay, with the grains, and they are going along the grains. Along with those shafts, some pebbles or something else gonna go with the grains. So they have to separate that too. Let's first see how they are going to separate the pebbles. Okay, the grains, the amount of grains are obviously more. Okay, first let us take an example of the gems we used to eat. We had different colors of gems. So, what we used to do in our childhood is separate the most favorite color gems and keep it with us and distribute the other gems to our friends. Similarly, in the case of grain, the pebbles is an undesirable substance in the bunch of grain. So, what they heap of grain? So, what they do is separate the pebbles by hand picking because they are less in number. Okay, so what is hand picking? This method involves simply picking out of the unwanted substances by hand and separating them from useful ones. The separated substance may be a impurity that has to be thrown away, or maybe that both the separated substances are useful. Okay, now we talked about the uh, chaff mixing with the grain while threshing. So how the chaff will be going? Are we going to separate? So we all are aware that the chaff are much more lighter than the grain. So how they are separated is by the method of winnowing. When the grains are collected from the process of threshing, it is need to be cleared out of husk and chaff before it is turned into flour. Normally, the separation of mixture is carried out with the help of wind or blowing air. The husk and chaff are blown away by the strong winds when the farmers drop the mixture from a certain height to the ground. The heavier grains are collected at once. Okay. Now we have another way method of separating substances. Next, we are going to learn a magnetic separation method. This method is only used when one of the substance has magnetic properties. That is, they are attracted by magnet. Okay. Strong magnets are commonly used to separating magnetic elements. Like you can see in this picture, this is a roller and magnets are attached to it so that when the magnetic substance go through it, they are attracted by the by magnets and fall in another container, while those which are not attracted by magnets go forward. Next, we are going to learn the separation methods of solid liquid mixture. The first method is evaporation. While in a solid liquid mixture, we took the example of salt and water. So how we gonna separate salt from water? What we do is evaporate water. You know, we have all seen the process of boiling of water. So basically evaporation is used to separate such mixture. So let us see what is evaporation. Evaporation is a technique that is used in separation of mixture, usually a solution of solvent and a soluble solid. In this method, the solution is heated until the organic solvent evaporates when it turns into a gas and mostly leaves behind the solid residue. So in our case, the organic solvent is the water. Next, we have filtration. The most common method of separating a liquid from an insoluble solid is filtration. Okay? Take for example the mixture of sand and water. Filtration is used here to remove salt particles from the liquid. Various filtering agents are normally used like filtering paper or silver material, etc. You can separate sand from this as sand's particles are very much bigger than the water and water will pass through the filter paper. You can like analog it with the sieving. Okay, here the sieving holes are very small and like we can't see it through our naked eyes. Next is sedimentation. Sedimentation is a process by which heavier impurities present in liquid, normally water, settle down at the bottom of the container containing the mixture. The process takes some amount of time. So, we have all done this in our childhood. What we used to do if we got uh, sand or clay, we used to mix it with water and play with it. But when we used to keep it separately, and the next day when we came, we saw the dust settling down and the water is above it. So what the process it used to take place is called sedimentation. We can then separate out the water from it, and the sand will be left in it. Now we will see about the separation of liquid mixture. The first process is separating funnel. The separating funnel is used mainly to create two immiscible liquids. The mechanism involves taking the advantage of unequal density of the particles in the mixture. Oil and water can be easily separated using the mixture. Okay. You all have noticed that when you put some less dense substance in water, it used to float. Like used to drop our toys in water in our childhood. The if the toys were a little less denser, it used to float. This process is used in separating funnels. When we keep two immiscible liquids over time, what happens is the less dense substance come above the denser substance, and after time we can remove the by pouring it into a different container. The next process is distillation. When mixture consists of two or more pure liquids, then distillation is used. Here, the components of a liquid mixture are vaporized, condensed, and then isolated. The mixture is heated, and the component, while is volatile, vaporizes first. The vapor moves through a condenser and is collected in a liquid state. Here, you can see. Here you can see boiling boiling liquid in a container. So here you can see it is green, while here you can see it's pink. So what it's denoting is here we have a mixture of two different liquids. So one is volatile, more volatile than the other. What do you mean by being more volatile is it reaches its boiling point more earlier than the other one. So the less boiling point one gets evaporated earlier, and it condenses here and is separated in a different container. So that's all for today.